Hello, everyone, and welcome in. And today we are going to talk to you real quick. It's going to be a short show. I do apologize. I worked a little late last night, and didn't have enough time to get everything fully ready that I want to. But I still got some good stuff for you today. Welcome back to Comic Issues Daily, the show that's with more news than the Bugle or the Planet. I'm Bryant, and today we got some stories for you. The DCU may be making a mistake by leaving out of one of their key DCEU characters. Marvel takes us deep into Hulk's fractured psyche. An 80s comic shows what today's comics are getting wrong, and we'll close things out with the CovrPrice Daily Shakers, the hottest movers in the comic market right now. Let's get into it. But before we do that, please take a moment to go and check out Brandon, aka Mon Comics, the GoFundMe for him and his family. They did lose their house in a house fire a couple weeks ago. Here is the link to the GoFundMe, so you can go and support that. Support Brandon, great guy. Aka Mon Comics. Go check it out. Go check out his channel. All right, going on from there. Today's episode is sponsored by Ron's Comic Closet. Your one-stop shop for back issues, new releases, a lot of variants. And if you use code I have issues at checkout, you'll get 20% off your first purchase with Ron's Comic Closet. All the links are in the description below. All right. And then the first story we got for the day, the rebooted DCU has been carefully distancing itself from the troubled legacy of the DCEU with but comicbook.com's Jackson Hayes argues that one overlooked character highlights a big misstep. Katana, who fought alongside Rick Flag in the original Suicide Squad, has been entirely left out of James Gunn's new vision. Even though her history with Flag could have added weight to the ongoing Peacemaker storyline, instead the DCU has chosen to elevate characters like Amelia Harcourt, while ignoring Katana's potential emotional resonance. Okay. Early morning. By avoiding Katana, the DCU loses an opportunity to create connective tissue between the old and the new. Hayes makes the case that her inclusion wouldn't have saddled the franchise with unwanted baggage, but rather added depth, history, and fan reaction or recognition to the narrative. Fans of Suicide Squad remember her as a unique character with unfinished story potential, and her absence now feels like a gap in the world building of the DCU. Ultimately, the critique points to a bigger issue. How far should the DCU go in cutting ties with the past? By throwing out all of the old pieces, the studio risks weakening its foundation. What do you think? Should the DCU embrace characters like Katana to strengthen its stories, or is Gunn right to start fresh? Drop your thoughts. And speaking of complicated legacies, no Marvel hero embodies inner conflict like the Incredible Hulk. And one new breakdown shows just how deep Banner's fractured psyche really goes. The Hulk is far more than a green rage monster. At comicbook.com, Jack Percu digs into the fractured psyche of Bruce Banner. To prove it, he digs into the fractured psyche of Bruce Banner to prove it. From Call the terrifying Hulk with a black and white mohawk to the strategic Professor Hulk, the personalities inside Banner represent a wide spectrum of emotional, psychological, and narrative themes. Each one has a role to play in shaping Hulk's journey, some through brief but explosive appearances, others by redefining the character for years. The ranks put heavyweights like Maestro and Devilhawk alongside lesser-known versions such as Doc Green and Gilthawk, Hulk, showing just how layered the mythology has become. For longtime fans, it is a reminder of how deep Hulk's lore runs. For newcomers, it's a guided tour through the decades of storytelling experiments. Picquiao's breakdown demonstrates that Hulk's personas aren't just gimmicks. They're storytelling tools that expand a character's flexibility across comics and media. By framing these personalities as a hierarchy of importance, the piece sparks debate over which versions matter most and why. Should the MCU tap into more of these alter egos or stick with the simpler Hulk? If you had to pick one, which Hulk personality or persona do you think is the most important to the character's legacy? Let me know below in the comments. And then we're going from Marvel splitting personality powerhouse to DC storytelling choices. Sometimes looking back at the past shows us where the present is stumbling. One writer found an 80s comic that makes a sharp case for fixing today's problems. In his piece, in his latest piece on comic.com, David Harf takes a trip back to 1980 with DC Comics Presents Annual Number 1, and comes back with a sharp critique of how modern comics tell their stories. The single, oversized issue spanning 42 pages and 6 chapters delivers a full, satisfying arc without requiring months of investment. For Harth is proof that today's decompressed storytelling often stretches thin what should be punchy, complete experiences. Modern comics, he argues, have become too dependent on multi-issue arcs and crossover events that demand constant buying and long-term reading commitments. Instead of giving fans the thrill of a single-issue epic, publishers too often dilute stories across a half year of releases. The results: less intimacy, weaker tension, and a barrier to new readers who can't easily jump in without a backlog of context. I completely understand. This is one of the reasons why I dropped out of comics collecting for a while, a number of years ago. Harf's call is simple: bring back the balance of accessible one-and-done stories alongside the big epics. The takeaway is that comics can be both expansive and self-contained, and the shift could help attract new fans while recapturing some of the magic that made the medium thrive in earlier decades. Do you agree that modern comics need more single-issue epics, or is a current long arc trend the right way forward? Share your take below. And while we're talking about the past shaping the present, let's shift gears into the market side today. In today's CovrPrice Shakers that show how Silver Age and Golden Age keys are still rewriting the record books. All right. The CovrPrice Daily Shakers spotlights today is a collector's dream lineup. At the very top is Amazing Fantasy 15 from 1962. Spider-Man's first appearance saw a CGC 4.5 move for $30,000, proving that Spider-Man remains the crown jewel of the Silver Age. Right behind it is Incredible Hulk number 1, which hit $21,600 in a CGC 4.5. And Fantastic Four number 1 from 1961 pulled in $9,000 in a CGC 3.0, reminding everyone why these Marvel blue chips stay untouchable. It didn't stop there. Spider-Man keys continue to shake the market, with Amazing Spider-Man number 1 pulling in $7,801 in a 3.5, and ASM 14, the first Green Goblin, hit $2,880 in a 6.5. Meanwhile, Journey into Mystery number 88, Thor's first appearance, landed a $7,500, while Showcase 22, the Silver Age debut of Hal Jordan, brought in $2,850 in a 4.0, proving that DC keys are still in the mix. Golden Age heavyweights weren't left out either. Daredevil Comics number 11 from 1942 sold for $4,440 or $4,400 in the CGC 5.5, and Marvel Mystery Comics number 64 from 1945 landed in at $3,069 in a CGC 6.0. Rounding it out, a sharp Iron Man number 1 in a CGC 9.2 sold for $2,760. Whether you're holding or hunting, this lineup shows that Silver Age, Marvel, and select Golden Age keys remain the backbone of the market. Which of these sales surprised you the most? And which key would you want in your collection? Let me know in the comments. Me personally, I want them all. It's like Pokemon. You got to collect them all. Just wanted to remind everybody that about my other live stream that I do weekly is Comic Channel Origins. And this Sunday, it comes out on Sunday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Please join us, ask questions. I usually interview other YouTube comic book creators and talk to them about how they grow their channels and go from where they started, their origin, to where they are now. But this Sunday, I have the Fantastic Four of C3, or Comics Curing Cancer, on. Rob's Fast X of Comics, Mark from Legion of Comics, DJ Links, and Austin LeMay. They are going to be my guests on Comic Channel Origins this Sunday. Please be there. Check it out. C3, great organization. They got a big month coming up this month, so please check that out. They're going to be here on Sunday. And also, that's it for today's episode. Tomorrow will be a bigger one. Don't forget, you can grab a comic at a discount from our sponsor, Ron's Comic Closet. If you use code IHaveIssues at checkout. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news, more comics, and more market action, and of course, more issues. All right, have a good one, and we'll see you later, guys.